Boba Fett. That sounds like it's a great spoof idea.
Yeah. Does he show up in Thumb War and he's just a toe?
I was gonna say Thumb Wars. That's like the perfect spoof for because he's a toe instead of a thumb.
Yeah. Have we put Thumb Wars on the schedule? Because I've still never seen it, and I think we have.
You've never seen it? Oh my gosh, it's so epic.
I only know your quotes of it.
I know, because I could quote the whole thing.
I know you can. I
bought 2 new droids from the freaky little hooded creatures this morning.
So stupid.
The name's Han Duet. This is my partner, Crunchy. A one-armed man killed my wife, Sabrina, a working girl. Now I'm a fugitive and in clear and present danger. I should be presumed innocent, but they're playing Patriot games with me. Raiders, regarding Henry, Blade Runner, Air Force One. I'm sorry, what was that last part?
That's the one. That's your classic quote. That's your classic.
So good. I mean, that's such a brilliant thing.
1999 Thumb Wars.
Is it 99? Wow, man.
Yeah.
It's great.
Boba Fett.
One of these days. Yeah. Welcome to This Endorian Life, a Star Wars podcast from the Radio Meanwhile Network. My name is Steve Rudd.
I'm Nick Gunning, and we've been following the Ewoks, but this time our journey through the Star Wars Vintage Collection brings us to Droids.
Today, we're discussing Droids Season 1, Episode 4, Race to the Finish. Finally, this episode originally aired on September 28th, 1985. We were wee boys.
This is one of those ironic titles because it did not feel like a race to the finish. It felt like a slow crawl to the finish.
It sure did. The race happened in
but here we
35 seconds.
Here we are. Once again, directed by Ken Stevenson, written by Peter Sauter and Steve Wright. Also adapted as a children's book of the same name and was released on PAL Video. So if you're in the UK, you could have watched this on the PAL tape Droids number 1. Featured cast member this time, Steve. Steve and I were texting about this episode, and I was like, there is cause for hope because a cool thing does happen in this episode. And that takes us right into our featured cast member, which is Don Franks. Don Franks is here as the one and only Boba Fett.
Boba Fett has been voiced in the holiday special by 2 different people.
Really?
There's 2 credits for Boba Fett. Gabriel Dell and Don Franks.
It's weird.
Both are uncredited.
Yeah, you're right. Here's an interesting article from the Boba Fett fan club. It says, according to the Star Wars Galaxy magazine's Boba Fett one-issue magazine, it says Dell does the voice for Boba Fett's lines for The Empire Strikes Back. However, this is incorrect. IMDb lists the following story. It was incorrectly reported in a Topps Boba Fett magazine that Dell provided the voice of Boba Fett in Star Wars Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back. Lucasfilm eventually corrected the item, confirming that it was actor Jason Wingreen who did the voice for the film, and speculated that the confusion resulted from the fact that Dell most likely provided the voice of Boba Fett for the animated segment of the Star Wars Holiday Special, but that no record of what voice the actor actually did supply could be found. While it's more commonly thought that Don Franks did the voice of Boba Fett in the holiday special, one film historian strongly believes it was Gabriel Dell. However, Frank's daughter has spoken on record saying her father was the original voice of Boba Fett in the holiday special. Dell was one of the original dead-end Bowery boys from over 50 films shot between 1937 and 1958. Born on October 8, 1919, Gabriel Dell passed away in 1988. So I guess we'll never know. There's a little bit of
mystery
controversy about who actually voiced Boba Fett there.
I feel like as homework, I need to find some Gabriel Dell movies.
Yeah.
And really listen to his voice and kind of what is it, Serpico?
Well,
1977. Yeah.
We know Don Franks is the voice of the Dulak shaman in Ewoks. And then even in Droids, he also voices Kybo Ren, not Kylo Ren, Kybo Ren, and Jan Tosh. This Boba Fett voice in this episode was definitely the same voice as the Dulak shaman. So I feel like what we have to do now is listen to Boba Fett and the Faithful Wookiee and listen to it here and see if it's the same. But yes, we've stumbled on an interesting little thing here.
We will get down to the bottom of this.
We're
I
gonna have
will.
to. We're
I'm
gonna
gonna
have
make it
to.
my life's work now.
Well, we definitely said it was Don Franks in our Story of the Faithful Wookiee episode, so we may have led people astray. The official position of the Radio Meanwhile Network is that the voice of Boba Fett in the Faithful Wookiee is too close to call. It's too close to call, ladies and gentlemen. Regardless, Don Franks is voicing him in this episode, and of course, Dulak Shaman, Don Franks. So it's a familiar voice here, and we get Boba Fett. We get Boba Fett in all of the Ewoks episodes. We never saw a familiar Star Wars character other than like a stormtrooper, an undisclosed stormtrooper. This is the first time in these animated episodes that we're seeing a legit screen character make an appearance.
And it's crazy that they use him for this, which I guess at the time we think like, okay, Droids would be like an Outer Rim style show, and Boba Fett would be an Outer Rim style character.
Mm-hmm.
It became more familiar with like the book Tales of the Bounty Hunter, right?
Yeah.
Like, and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, Boba Fett works. But I was just like, whoa, Boba Fett, he's just become so mainstream because he's he's like one of the most famous characters in Star Wars that has like 3 lines.
True.
That's it, you know? Yeah, I just thought it was like, at first it was very surprising. And then I was like, oh, this actually kind of makes sense. This is where he would be.
Yeah.
So he would be at the Bunta, not the Bunta Eve, but
be.
the Bunta speeder race.
Whatever it is. Yeah, we had talk of Jabba the Hutt.
Yeah.
So
Jabba the Hutt was referenced.
Lots of Star Wars references here.
So he's doing jobs for Jabba.
He's doing it. All right, let's get into it, Steve. Hit me with your uber detailed plot.
All right. Droids Season 1, Episode 4, A Race to the Finish. Thal and Jord are finally on their way to the Bunta speeder race, despite finding the time to save the galaxy from the evil Fromm gang. Before 3PO and R2 can secure the White Witch for hyperspace, a Lambda-class shuttle attacks them, damaging their sublight engines. It's the Fromm family. Size, Tig, and Vlix come to sack vengeance on the young crew by attacking their ship. Before they can do any crippling damage, Thal and Jord jump into hyperspace. The Fromms attempt to pursue, but jump into hyperspace backwards. Wrap your head around that one. How does that work?
That's a little confusing.
Yeah. When the young crew arrives at their destination, they find their engines were damaged, causing them to crash land on the planet, injuring Jord and damaging the White Witch.
Oh.
Upon landing, R2 makes friends with a local garbage droid. Everyone heads into town for the race, while R2's new droid friend, Proto-1, promises to fix the ship. 3PO warns R2 about trusting other droids. Meanwhile, the Fromm family meets with a stranger who agrees to bring the speeder pilots to them. He would bring Size to Jabba, but won't, as he owes him a favor. This stranger is revealed to be none other than Boba Fett. Well, I guess we talked about him, so it doesn't.
From Star Wars.
From the Star Wars movies. Tig is terrified of Boba, but knows that the young racers are now in for it. Back at the shop, Thal will have to pilot the witch because Jord won't heal in time. The other problem is repairing the witch, but that's solved when 3PO befriends BL-17, a droid whose master is away, so they have use of their garage.
Oh.
Convenient. Meanwhile, Tig schemes to nab the young pilots before Boba can by bribing his henchman Vlix. At the new garage, 3PO discovers that he and BL-17 graduated from the same production facility. 3PO ridicules R2, pointing out his lack of intelligence.
That's kind of a problem right there, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's not really doesn't really gel with the prequels anymore.
It doesn't, yeah. So BL-17 joins 3PO in heading off to the parts depot, but not before their new droid friend sabotages a gas tank and damages the door lock of the garage. In a few minutes, Kea becomes nauseous. R2 attempts to get out, but the door is stuck. At the same time, Tig attempts to break in to the garage to sabotage the witch with a grenade, a thermal detonator to be exact. R2 uses a lifter to push the door open, scaring away Tig and Vlix. With the witch exposed, BL-17 suggests a new place they can store it, at a processing plant. So he and 3PO set off to stash the witch. Suddenly, the group receives a distress signal from 3PO. Meanwhile, at the processing plant, 3PO and BL meet up with their junkyard droid friend Proto 1, who exposes BL 17 as one bad dude. 3PO attempts to vouch for BL, but realizes the truth when BL 17 turns on him. R2 blasts in, distracting BL 17, allowing 3PO to push BL into a trash heap that falls and crushes him. Thal and Kea finally arrive and realize it's a trap when Boba Fett opens fire on them. Tig and Vlix manage to install a timed thermal detonator on the witch to go off in 10 laps. This is all happening at the same time. It's wild. Proto 1 sees and warns the rest of the group after Thal heads off on the witch to the race. Thal makes it to the race just in time, but with Fett in hot pursuit in his silver speeder. Fett uses the harpoon on the witch, slowing it down. R2 cuts the tow cables and they pull away. Boba fires lasers and damages the witch, but R2 fixes it. A last attempt to disable the witch with a proton beam dislodges the thermal detonator that Tig placed, causing it to fly away and land on Fett's windshield. Fett manages to eject before his speeder is destroyed while Thal crosses the finish line in first place. They realize quickly that their attacker was Boba Fett and wonder why he was after them. Their confusion quickly ends when they meet Zebulon Dak of the Zebulon Dak Speeder Corporation. He offers them a job and they accept. Thal thanks R2 and 3PO when they are confronted by the Size Gang once again. However, their last chance at capturing the young pilots is thwarted by Proto. Taking advantage of the situation, Fett captures Size, Tig, and Vlix, taking them to Jabba.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh. On board Kea's ship, R2 patches into the bridge comms, and they overhear Kea, Thal, and Jord discuss not taking the Speeder Corp job because they won't allow the droids with them. They all agree not to take the job and blast into hyperspace. However, overhearing their conversation, R2 and 3PO leave in an escape pod before the jump to hyperspace. They agree that sacrificing their friendship so that they could take the job was the right decision, knowing they still were good friends. Roll credits.
Aw. I felt like we were kind of missing a button on this episode, seeing like Kea and the others realizing the droid's sacrifice.
Yeah, that was kind of like
I would have liked to have
it was a weird twist.
Yeah, and I think having them kind of be like, "Oh no, C3PO, you know what I mean?" Like we didn't get that. We didn't get the satisfaction, at least, of seeing them.
Did you think when Thal is outside of their ship, like they're about to leave, he like turns to 3PO and R2 and is like thanking them like they're parting ways.
Like they're gonna say goodbye. Yeah.
Yeah, he was like totally like, thanks for everything you've done, like and then they go with each other. And I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
He was just saying goodbye. Like that's how you say goodbye to somebody.
I know.
And so that I feel like there was a bunch of stuff that they like shoehorned in. They're like, oh yeah, this would be really good. But then like didn't realize they kind of dropped the tempo with that scene right there where it was like, oh, okay. And I thought, oh, this is how they're doing it. 3PO is surely going to be like, we need to continue our mission to find our boss, our master. And Thal and Jord would be like, well, I mean, we got a job now. So, you're on a great planet.
Best of luck. Yeah.
Best of luck. Yeah. Thanks for everything you've done.
Like they didn't take that opportunity, even though they gave it the time. And it felt very rushed that C3PO and R2 were like, well, let's just jump in an escape pod,
Yeah.
Like it just seemed quick, I guess. For them to make that choice. I think we learned a valuable lesson here. I think watching these individually is a no-go.
Yep.
I also feel like the 4-episode plot-wise, I don't know, I'm torn because listening to your rundown right now somehow felt more complicated than the episode. But like you hit all the beats. Like there's a lot going on here. But I feel like the real meat of this story, this could have been 1 episode and we got 4 instead.
Yeah.
Like we could have turned all this around like that quickly, and then it would have made a little bit more sense for C3PO and R2 like not to stick with them because at this point, they're like blood. So
yeah,
I don't know. I'm glad that we're pivoting to watching full arcs moving forward because I do think while I'm not looking forward to sitting down for 90 minutes and watching it, I do think it will help get the full narrative structure on this.
I think it will too. And I thought long and hard about what my Okavark moment was for this, and I'm convinced it's not a moment; it's multiple moments. But
Okay.
the strong second place was, why insert the Fromm gang again when you've just introduced Boba
Yeah.
Fett? And I think that really bothered me. That
Yeah.
they did too much.
I think on a more positive note, I would say that this was maybe the most entertaining of the
Oh
4 we've
yeah,
done so far.
yeah. This was pretty entertaining. I thought it was good, and
Yeah.
all the Fromm family, not size family, all the Fromm family stuff was just so extra. Like
It was. I hate those designs. They're not fun to look at.
no,
Like,
yeah,
I think my biggest thing here would be, like, it was just joyless. Like, it wasn't really a fun
yeah.
adventure, and it wasn't really humor. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, it's kinda rough when this
My
was the
only
best, but
suggestion would have been like, instead of trying to go after them, their hyperdrives don't work, so they contact
something.
Boba Fett. They
Yeah.
hey, we can't get them, but I know they're going to the Boonta speeder race, and we know you're there,
Yeah.
so can you take care of them? You know?
See, and now it would also be kinda cool if from this point on, Boba Fett was like a recurring nemesis, because
Yeah,
that would give it a little bit of continuity as we jump. I think we're gonna what, have 3 more, like, owners, like, 3
I think
more
so.
groups of
Yeah.
people through the course of the series, so, like, having them constantly, like, every 3 episodes or something, like, running into Boba Fett and having that be a bit of a through line, I think would be helpful, but as I don't remember him being in other episodes, and when I looked it up, I couldn't find any
Okay.
evidence that he was in other episodes, so I think this is it for Boba Fett, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I was wrong about who voiced him in the holiday special,
Yeah,
apparently,
it's
so
just it was
you
just
can't trust
there was
me.
just too much convenience, like, oh, okay, somebody,
Yeah.
like something's happening, and there's always that third person or that third
Yeah.
thing going on, like, he wants them, but
I
that guy, it's like, what is it? There's a meme out there, and it's like that, it's The Undertaker and that one wrestler, there was that crazy match where it was just like, me thinking about this, and then, like, The Undertaker's behind him. It's
oh, yeah.
that. It's
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
everything was
Yeah.
that, but then
It
there's
is.
like another person
It
behind
is.
The Undertaker, and there's another person behind him, and it's just like, oh
Yeah.
my gosh,
Yep. Yep.
it's too much, too
I
much.
keep trying to be upbeat and positive about this episode, but I just keep thinking of the things I don't like, and all of the character designs are just so rough. Like, the Fromm family, just awful. They just look like, I don't
Yeah,
know, like Gungans or something, and, like, our heroes are just, like, mohawks and rat tails. I don't know.
they really are like yeah,
It's not
yeah, and
good.
then
It's
like
not
I
good.
don't know the whole thing too about like, oh, I didn't know that Jord was the pilot because he does not seem like he
Doesn't have
was the
that
pilot,
doesn't
like
have that
chubby
pilot energy.
belly,
Mm,
like I'm the mechanic,
yeah.
while Fall is
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
rock and roll mohawk speeder guy.
I know. Give us some cool looking
Yeah, yeah,
guys,
like
give us some, like, cool. I mean, Kea is kinda cool. I don't fully understand, like, the hot dog bun in
she's
her
got
head,
like
but other
a
than that,
yeah, she's got
she's
like
got
a
kind of a vibe.
duo hawk. She's got like a
Yeah. It's true.
Rufio or something
That's
going on.
true, yes. Ooh,
Rufio,
love it. I
Rufio.
love it. I love the hook reference. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Well, you told me your penultimate, Oak of Arc moment. What ultimately took it for you?
It, so mine is the fact that the Fromm family was even there, right? So when I
Yeah.
saw them at the beginning of the episode, I was like, oh, I kind of thought they died. So I went back to the first
You were
episode or to the
yeah.
third episode, and it was like, oh,
Look at
we need
you.
to evacuate.
Due
And
diligence.
then
Yeah.
you don't see any distinctive ship that's theirs. You don't see them running away. It's just
Oh,
ships
okay.
leave, and then
Okay.
the Trigon one blows the thing up, and I don't think you see them at the end. They're just not there.
I don't think so either. No,
So
you're
they're
right.
just written out.
Definitely didn't need an encore. I'm with you on
Yeah, I
that.
was kind of like, really? They survived? And it's like it just reminds me of the somehow Palpatine survived,
Yeah.
and it's just like, oh my gosh,
Yeah,
stop!
yeah, yeah.
Like,
Well, I just kept being like, "Okay, so if you can use Boba Fett, if you can use those characters, like, why are we looking at Rat Tail over
yeah,
here? Like,
well,
let's pepper in some recognizable characters." It's wild. It's wild. Okay, yeah, well, that's a decent one that
yeah.
we're seeing these guys again.
What about you?
Well, there's many things that I don't like, so I'm gonna give it to one that I thought was just, like, a goofy, and it's the very beginning when R2 and C-3PO are out working on the ship. R2 has a welder's mask that he puts on, and I was just like,
he does.
why does he need a welder's mask? That doesn't make any sense at all.
No.
He's got like a little attachment where it like comes down over his face, and I'm just like, is it supposed to be funny? Is that a sight gag? I just don't know. But
waste of animation.
him having that mask, something about it. I was like, well, now I'm kind of changing my mind because I do think it's funny. Maybe that's why.
Well, it's
But
also
that one
like
stood out
this
to me. It's like,
wide
that's dumb.
too, so like
I know. Yeah.
that wouldn't work.
You gotta be real careful of R2D2's retina, I
Well, the
guess.
thing is
I'm not
too, like
sure.
that the slag from that would get on his chassis, and that will stain and put
Yeah.
molten
You don't
slag
want
on him.
chassis stains.
No, you don't want chassis stains.
You don't want chassis
No,
stains.
it's not a good
That's
look.
awful.
Not a good look.
No, it's really not. No one can pull it
No,
off. Maybe
It's
George,
gonna stain his pearly
maybe it's
whites. Yeah.
part of the whole package. Ichiwawa? You got an Ichiwawa moment?
I just think Boba Fett in general was my like
Boba Fett in general.
like our savior, the
No.
savior of this story arc is Boba Fett. Actually, I do think the Jabba reference was really cool because
Okay.
Size from did say I was the most, we were the most powerful family in the galaxy, and then we find out from Boba that Jabba has a bounty on his head, and I thought that's cool because they're
cool.
probably warring gangs. The Hutt,
I like it.
the Hutt gangs and the From family gang. So I thought that was pretty cool. That like was like a good reference. That was a very well placed reference to Jabba the Hutt. What about you? What was your favorite? Your one favorite.
Mine is Boba Fett related too. And it's the design they used for Boba Fett here, because when we saw him in the Story of the Faithful Wookiee, that was before we'd seen Boba Fett in any other way. So he looks a certain way with the blue helmet and the different colors and things. This is post Return of the Jedi. So like we all know what Boba Fett looks like, but they didn't change the design to look like Return of the Jedi Boba Fett. They used the Faithful Wookiee design because this is before Return of the Jedi and all that. So I kind of like the continuity.
Look at that.
With Faithful
I missed that.
Wookiee.
That's like a me thing to complain about. That was good. That's
no,
I mean, that's
positive.
That's good to point out. Yeah, I do. That's right. This was 85. This came out 2 years after. So yeah, that's an interesting. That's interesting. They did that.
Like, kind of consistent with his like early days animated style, which has to be a choice. I mean, unless they're using some of the same cells as before, which is totally possible.
Does this happen before Return of the Jedi or Empire Strikes Back? Then,
well, yeah, well,
you have to.
Yeah,
I mean, it has to.
I mean,
right?
all of it kind of has to.
Yeah,
it's definitely not post Return of the Jedi. I can tell you
true.
that, because spoiler alert for Return of the Jedi, but Boba doesn't fare so well. And Return.
That's true. Oh yeah, do it. Well, no. I mean, it could be like between Empire and Return of Jedi.
No, but not really, because R2D2 and C3PO wouldn't be separate.
That's true. It was only about a year, right? I think traditionally in the grand scheme of things, it's only about a year. So no, you're right. It has to be before.
Yeah.
Has to be.
But anyway, I like that. I like that bit of continuity. I like the look of it too. I mean, I think maybe the blues and grays maybe look better in animation than like sort of the greens and maroons might look. But
that's probably true.
I thought it was cool.
Yeah.
Well, best so far. I can leave it at that. This is definitely the best episode of Droids I've
Finishing
ever seen.
with a bang, at least.
Unfortunately, the bang is a spontaneous combustion. My interest, but
not the thermal detonator. We're getting a thermal detonator. We've gotten a lot of thermal detonators. At least this one looked like a thermal detonator. Remember, there was the one episode where he's like, a thermal detonator, and it was like a tube, and we're like, that's not a thermal detonator. That's like a tube.
All right, well, next time around, we're going to be leaving the droids behind momentarily and go back to the Ewoks for Ewoks Comics number 4, The Valley of Evil.
Oh yeah,
I think there's more dinosaurs.
Yeah.
So
are dinosaurs evil? Do they have evil connotations?
I wouldn't say. I think it's the same thing with sharks. I think they're villainized by the media.
It's true. Yeah, because Land Before Time is probably the second most famous dinosaur movie.
True.
Next to Jurassic Park. I mean, it's Land Before Time. What other dinosaur movie is out there, right?
Yeah, that and Theodore Rex with Whoopi Goldberg. I think those 3.
Oh my gosh.
Everybody thinks of those 3. We do have one more bit of business we have to cover, and that is your 40th birthday. Because
yes,
this is the last episode we record in your 30s.
Yeah, oh man, that's crazy. Yeah.
It's the last one. After this, it's all downhill.
It is downhill. It is downhill because it's over the hill. So wait, this is Over the Hill 40. So Over the Hill's 40. So does that mean 39 I'm on top of the hill?
50 was over the hill? Yeah, you could be on top of the hill
I'm on
for a
top of
few
the
more
hill.
days. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm on top of the
You're
hill
on top
right
of the
now.
hill.
40's over the hill.
Enjoy it. Enjoy the view.
Yeah, I think 50's the new Over the Hill. That's what it is. Person
think
at
so
work
too.
they were like, "Wait, you're turning 40?" And I was like, "Yeah." They were like, "Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
I thought you were like 28." And I was like, "Nice, thanks." And they were
Yeah.
like, "Well, you're
You got a
just like
young vibe.
young spirit." And I was like, "Yes, yeah,
Got
I
a
do.
young
I
vibe.
have a young spirit."
We were just over text today with our friend Dan. Shout out to Dan.
Damn.
We were all comparing gray hairs, and
It's true.
I think you're faring the best. I really do. I think
See it right? You see it?
I do. I see a little bit. I see a little bit on the chin, but I think overall you win.
My warrior patch.
Because my sides, you called me Mr. Fantastic. You technically called me Dr. Fantastic, which is incorrect, but
Well,
Mr. Fantastic,
you're just more
I
educated.
got the grays. On
Why
the side
is
here,
he
so it's coming so
Mr. Fantastic and not
I don't
Dr.
know.
Fantastic?
He
He's
certainly
like a
has a doctorate.
physicist.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's definitely a doctorate.
He's definitely
Probably because the villain was Doctor Doom, and they didn't want to have like Dr. Fantastic versus Doctor Doom. Would be my guess, but I don't know.
Oh
I think
yeah.
Stan Lee was just doing whatever he wanted back in the day. You know, whatever he could pull out of Jack Kirby, he would do and take credit for.
It's true.
That's a Stan Lee burn, everybody.
Stan
Right there.
Lee. Wait,
No
is
one asked
Doctor
for it,
Doom
but
a Jack Kirby creation? He doesn't have a crazy headdress or anything.
I'm pretty sure Doctor Doom is Stan Lee and Jack Kirby.
Oh no way.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Doctor Doom first. Well, no, Doctor Doom first appeared in Fantastic Four #5. So by that point, Mr. Fantastic would have already been named and appeared. So who knows? But yes, I'm getting to read Richard's Grey Temples. Is the point of that story?
Yes.
Yeah.
You are Mr. Fantastic.
I mean, you'd be a great Human Torch. So we're halfway there.
I have been on
We're doing
fire
great.
many times.
Anyway,
Yes.
happy birthday, old friend.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Welcome to Club 40.
Feels good. Club 40.
Yep, here we are. Okay, again, next time Ewoks Comics #4, The Valley of Evil. Then we're back with the Queen of Halloween for a Halloween spectacular.
Oh yeah, can't wait.
All right, see you next time, old man.
I will see you later. This Endorian Life was brought to you by the Radio Meanwhile Network. Other shows on the network include 9021 Here We Go, previously on X-Men, and 90s Music Got Me Like. Share your thoughts on this and upcoming episodes by following us on Facebook or X at Endorian Life, and please rate, subscribe, and share the show wherever you get your podcasts.